Good afternoon, gamers, and welcome to another Borg-rific episode of Games with Dave. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined all the way from Italy by Rinaldo Agostino, who has designed a cyborg-compatible. I can't help but say it this way: choose your own path adventure. Family business in which you play a headhunter trying to survive all the spam lighting up your retinas while you're constantly hooked up to the net. Welcome to the show, Rinaldo. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So one thing I always ask people when they first come on, what were some of the games that got you hooked on role-playing games when you were a little guy?
Oh, yeah. It's always the same question here in Italy, is basically Dungeons and Dragons. It's always that. 3.5 all the way in. People like to play that. Is the big one, is the one everyone gets. So there was that. But I always been more of a war gamer than a role player. Just recently I came back to it with Morkborg, which I really like because it's a more rules-like system. That also goes for the cyborg version of it. So I basically ditched Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm mostly playing Morkborg and other indie games.
Nice. Yeah, I've kind of done the same thing myself. I like big D&D player, and then I found the indie game scene, and it just, I couldn't help it. It's like, it's the heartbeat of gaming right now to me, And so how is the gaming scene in Italy?
Oh, it's not that bad, but again, usually when you get people to play, you mostly have this kind of, Dungeons and Dragons groups. It's always the same, but indie games can actually find their way in. Next year, I'm actually going to try to write something in Italian for a Morkborg hack I'm working on, and you can find people receptive to it, but obviously it's not as big as American market. So English was my first choice. I never wrote actually anything in my own native language, which is kind of sad now that I say it out loud. But you usually can get people. But the biggest. There is an Italian Facebook meme page for Dungeons and Dragons. The biggest one tries to promote Morkborg on a regular basis, but it's not working as it would as well as it would with post about Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a little bit, Tell me.
I have faith you can do it. So
let's hope. Let's hope.
I mean, Morkborg's awesome. So, and the third-party license that they provide for everyone with the games is just, I love it. I've got something I want to write that hopefully I'll get done in the next year or so, maybe, and we'll see. So, and folks, if you have not backed Family Business, there is a link in the description, and I forgot to turn it on. Let's do this. And there is a link in the description of the video for you to back this project and help Rinaldo out. So be sure to jump down there, click the link, and back it. It's super affordable. And I can tell you from seeing the preview of this game, it is awesome. So let's get right into things. How did you come up with the idea of an absolutely bonkers, like, choose your own path game versus something more linear, I guess you would say?
Oh, probably because I really hate myself. I already did another project of a choose your own adventure book last year, and it was a nightmare to write. It's really much harder than a normal project, but I really enjoyed it. I did one for Morkborg. I think I have maybe one here. This one, You Name a Scum.
And I was just going to ask you if that was the one. So
yeah, that was the one, and it was really hard, really time-consuming, but I enjoyed it, and I really like the final product. It's a really nice one. But when I did the first one, it basically swore off I will never do anything this insane ever again. The next year, but we're here. Yeah, they always tell me I'm a madman. This is how I basically write them. Also, I don't know if you can see. I write a single sentence. Yeah, it's like the scrambles of a madman all over this huge piece of paper, and I connect them, and then I write them. But I wanted to do this because Cyborg is a really interesting setting. It's basically classic cyberpunk, but there are this thing where you are permanently connected to the net, which is kind of how we are right now, and you are constantly bombarded by ads. You cannot have a moment of respite. You're always inside it. You're always connected, and this was the part of the game that really got me. Other stuff you can find in other cyberpunk games, but that was okay. I want to do something about this one, and I want to expand that part of the universe. It's good. Originally, it was supposed to be an entirely game made with pixel art, but I got the day I got discarded and ran into this direction instead.
So speaking of it being crazy, you have 303 paragraphs that I saw so far.
Yeah.
Was it? It's got to be like I just can't imagine how you keep that all organized. I pictured this big cork board with like red string running between everything that you're just
Everyone
standing in front
that.
of.
No. I used the simple piece of paper I showed you. Every single paragraph is first written in a simple sentence and connected to the other one. This is not a digital tool or anything, but it allows you to have the story spreading in front of you, and you have like, okay, I can grab a simple pencil and just cancel, write that down, and after all is done, I just get a open office writer tool. I just wrote 300 paragraphs and I start writing and connecting them. When I write it on the document, I write it on the piece of paper, and at the end I have a full game. Every single paragraph is connected.
That's crazy. My brain could not keep. I know my brain couldn't keep up with it. Like I have got so much respect for you being able to do that with.
Oh, it's kind of simple once you get the hang of it. You can just use, color codes to just keep, okay, this paragraph still has to connect to another one. And it also allows you to get a nice flow to it, because I always try to get the next paragraph you're going to read in the range of like 50, 100 paragraphs. So you don't have to, to just get the book and just go all over here. You can get a nice flow for the reader too. Nice. I don't know if there are programs that allow you to do the same thing. Probably there are, but I didn't use them. So
yeah, but you gotta love the grassroots effort, I guess you would call it, that you have with doing it on paper versus using some computer program. It's completely anti-cyborg the way that you're doing it. It's like
that's true. That doesn't. That's why that normally didn't help. So maybe I should.
I'm gonna have to try this now. We'll have to talk after, and I'm gonna really pick your brain on how to do this, because
I can show you.
It's just so cool, because like reading through the preview PDF that you sent me, and thank you for that. I didn't get time to play it though, so I was really bummed, because I told you like things are just insane on my end right now. But I'm going to play it this week coming up, because I've actually been a week ahead of myself. I thought this Friday coming up was November 1st, and it's only the 25th. So I've got a whole extra week that I just gained. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay, if you died during play, just tell me the paragraph you died in, because I'm always curious to keep a check of the difficulty of the game, of where people actually meet their ends.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of dying, how many possible outcomes are there in the adventure?
Oh, if you mean game over or actually finals, because there are 5 different endings that you can get, and there are actually, let me check, over, of course it's not working as intended, 27 game over screen that you can get. Because there is the thing, when I play game book, usually when you die, you get at 0 HP, you don't get a specific ending scene for it. But I like the idea to give the players a feedback about it, because every single time you die here, you have a description of how you met your demise, which makes it more engaging and also allows the player to, actually get there and check it out without maybe not cheat a lot. Also, as a game book, I made there is the glitch system that they're basically like the Homans in the whole board games, where you can use them to get some results. And I made one specific for the game book that allows you to get in in another paragraph. You can get backward, like you will usually do for cheating. You use a game book. You die. Okay, let's go. I don't want to read it from the beginning and just going back. Here you can do
Right.
You can do this as a rule. And
With the glitch.
each game book, a game book screen here also tells you if you have a glitch, you can spend it to go back. So it's basically a rewind you get, and it's also thematic. I'm not going to make spoilers, but it's also thematic with a cyborg lore, you can say. So you will see. It's a way to make the game more engaging and allow people to read it through and not maybe cheat as much as they usually do for game books.
So that's really cool because it sounds like this game is like super replayable.
It is.
With all the endings and all the game overs and the glitch system.
Yeah, you also have there are 3 main branching paths you can go when things go south for your character, basically. And each time gives you a really different perspective on the thing. There is one that is really on its own, and the other 2 are kind of complementary. So you can play one, you can see how things go in a different light. I don't know how to do this without spoiling, but like you said, that if you play one path, certain things happen from a certain point of view. If you get another path, you can see the same thing happening from another one.
Interesting.
So you will have to see it. I don't know what to do without spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want you to spoil it by it at all. So, so how long is the average game in this, roughly?
Okay, I still have to make the speedrun route, but I think it would take you at least 1 hour to complete each single route. Because what I usually do is, I usually get every single path. I just read the paragraph and count the words, and then I make a count of around 250 100 words per minute, so you can get an average speed reading for the experience. Because you don't want people to pick it up and just put it down after 20 minutes of playing because they just reached the ending. But it should be around 1 hour each single path.
Awesome. I was kind of thinking it could be cool to kind of ratchet up the tension in the game, to take like a timer and set it in the background of, like, now you're saying an hour, set it for an hour and maybe make something happen on your end, whoever's playing it, if you don't get through within an hour.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, because you could have a timer ticking in your retinal display, and
you can do that too. I wanted people to use the less amount of items possible when reading it, but that can be done, especially now that you have timers on your phones. You can do all sorts of crazy stuff with a game book if you want to. Like maybe you can get a time limit. You go this maybe you get after an hour of play, go to this paragraph. It also may have a challenge because you have to make the description count. Maybe if you're like a time bomb or stuff like that in your story, you can do it more easily because you have a game over screen if you reach a certain time limit. You can do stuff like that. But I don't think it will fit with this story, but you can do some sort of. This is a really interesting idea that you can certainly expand on it if you want to. If I'm going to tell you how to write a game, you should definitely use it because it's a really nice idea.
Yeah, I might actually try that with something and see how that works. And so I did get through kind of the first couple of paragraphs, and it is so depressing to think of being hooked up to a retinal display 24 hours a day. I couldn't imagine having that just attached to you from birth. I mean, that would just be horrible.
Well, we kind of have a screen pushed on our face 24/7, but at least while we're sleeping, we can still have some solace from it.
Right. Instead of having it flash and wake you up and be like, it's time to go to work.
You should definitely go. If you want to sleep a little more, you have to pay an extra for it.
And that's
And
what I
this
saw.
is,
I'm like, oh man, you're in debt just for wanting to sleep in.
yes, you were always in debt. You were born in it. You will not escape it. This is what basically Cyborg goes. The tabletop that inspired the Family Business game book. Usually, when you play a tabletop RPG, you start with some possessions. You have this amount of gold, you have this and that. In Cyborg, you start with debt. You
Yeah.
literally begin with that, and there is a little table that say, okay, who owes you, like a bank, like a criminal organization, and you randomly determine it. And then at the end of the list, you have how much they wanted. You roll a d6, and from 1 to 6, there is only one result. They want it now. They really want it. And it's basically, you can't escape it. It's how the game works, and I want to implement it because it's still. This is not only a game book. This is also a character creation tool that you can use to play Cyber. You play the game book. If you survive, you can just get some
Right.
extra rules, and you have a background basically done and a character to go and play for your regular game. So there is also that. And I wanted to implement every aspect of the original game into it because that's the setting. That's what you do. You were born in that, you will die in it. No way around it.
It sounds almost too realistic the way things are nowadays.
Yeah. you know, I got people telling me that the first one I wrote, Relentless was a little too depressing because Morkborg as a setting is really, when you read it, is really grim. It takes itself seriously as a game. But when you play at the table, you have you had the chance to do it, but it tends to be more on the goofy side at time. You still have horrific moments when your player on the seat, like what is going on. But it's
Right.
more like an Evil Dead. It looks like more of Evil Dead, the movie, where there are comical elements, people droning in vomit and stuff like that.
Right.
For You Nameless Scum, since I got into the setting, many people tell me, okay, this is like the setting non-stop. You don't have that moment of truth where you can get a laugh with your buddies. This is just like that. It's the same for Cyborg, but Cyborg is more, I think is more comical in tone, even it's more realistic. Though you don't have that grim setting. You will have people like, I don't know, you can read a spam ad that say hot single in your area, and you go to the paragraph they tell you, and you get a flamethrower because you can burn people. Stuff like that. There are lots of puns.
It almost
The fact
sounds
that
like you mixed a little Grand Theft Auto
yeah,
with
maybe.
like,
Yeah, I
here's
mean,
your single, get a flamethrower.
yes, all singles in your hair, literally. And the fact you're a headhunter, usually headhunter in a corporation just seek talents for their employer. Here you are literally a headhunter. You seek talent. If they refuse, you kill them.
Right.
So
You're coming to work
it's
with
more
me. No.
yeah, or you're not gonna work at all. You need to get
Right.
with that. So it's a little more comical. Yeah, there are times where it gets a little depressive here. It gets a little too real. You have to go to a job. You have to do all this kind of stuff. You're in debt, but it's more comical. It's a little more easy than Your Nameless Scum.
And we actually have our first question here. I'm going to pop it up on the screen for us.
Okay.
It says,
And
so are we to expect a bit more humorous tone, which we just kind of addressed
yes,
in Family Business? Yeah.
yeah.
That kind of goes back to what you were saying of, complete brain fart.
Hot singles in your
Your
area,
Nameless
and you get a
Scum
flamethrower.
being like really dark. And
Yeah.
this will definitely have more of a fun tone, or at least a humorous tone to it. Of
Yes. You can.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now I'm brain farting too. I don't remember what I wanted to say.
Sorry, that's my fault because I cut you off. So,
Yeah.
where now I lost my place because we answered that one already. I noticed looking through the PDF that there are different colored prompt boxes.
Yes.
And what is the difference between the different boxes?
Oh yeah, you basically got the beta version of the game. The white boxes are actually the heads you can read, and I still have to fill them up because there is a supporter level on Kickstarter where you can actually design one of the ads that's going into the game. So I have to wait for the supporter to just give me their ideas and just put them into places. I still have some done, but when they will give me, I just design them and just put them. So in the beta, you can't actually use that feature of the gamebook. Maybe a couple of them are in place. Like when you get shot and there's a game over, you get insurance ads flashing by telling you got shot. Maybe go with us. And you can pay 1,000 credits to get in that more, but get a glitch to go back. Something maybe that one is in place, but usually they can interact in this way. You can just choose to read them and have additional effects, or you can just ignore them and just move over. It's as simple as that.
Really cool. Like you get shot, pay 1,000 credits, and you get to rewind a little bit and
it's cool until they get. It's all cool and dandy until they come back to collect the credits you own.
Right.
So you can get to the hand. Let's just say there are certain endings where you can get at the end of the book, and you might want to be careful on your spending because it's credits, it's free of consequences. It's not.
No, because they will come to collect.
Yes, they may be. It depends how much you spend, but you'll see. I don't want to ruin the surprise. You may have a bad one.
Absolutely not. The art on this is absolutely spectacular, and I actually have some of it as the background on our screen. Did you do all the art, or was it someone else?
No. I usually buy it to use them. I just get on Shutterstock and get this one. And the way the background is done is really interesting because it also latches on the idea of having a VR headset bolted to your head. Basically, these red things you can see in the background are supposed to be the ads that are trying to get your attention. And the little black square you get of where the text is where your attention is actually focused as a character. So it's kind of a meta-narrative thing where, okay, I'm bombarded by the ads, but this is what I'm focusing on. And the description in the black box is like what you're actually seeing, what you're concentrating on.
Neat.
I don't know if I explained it properly.
No, makes absolutely perfect sense to me. So
also the red and black background is also nice because it reminds me of the Virtual Boy. I don't know if you know the whole Nintendo console, which is basically the first attempts at a virtual reality things. So there is also this little throwback to it. It was basically a giant headset you would put in front of your head, and it had this little lens on it where it would project the game, and you will see it in 3D, but it was only black and white. Not black and white, sorry, red and black.
Oh,
like
yes.
like this one.
Yep, I remember that. And let's see,
it's also throwback to this.
Kitty Face says that bit about the ads is cute, especially given the art-laden nature of Morkborg books. And it is really cool that you've taken that and incorporated it into the game itself. It's pretty smart. So
again, is you get lots of cyberpunk setting, and this was the part of the setting in the original Cyborg book that inspired me the most. So this is interesting. Maybe you're basically in a shootout, and you're trying to aim, and their heads saying, try this new gun, distracting you constantly. So you can do so much things with that in the role-playing setting. I wanted to incorporate it in the game book too.
Very cool. You mentioned the pledge level for, I believe it was called the spammer level.
Yeah, it is.
Where they get to make an ad. Now, I just kind of lost my thought because I'm looking everywhere right now. Do they get to create, like, if you get a flamethrower, like you had said about the one ad as well, or?
Okay, the way it will work, I will tell them to compile a Google form, basically, that I'm going to send them after the Kickstarter is over, where they can choose a slogan, choose the kind of effect they want their ad to have, like positive, maybe neutral, or even negative for the player. And they will have to describe what the ad does. After they've done it, I will just basically use the info they gave to me to find a proper card, to format it, and to add it into the book. So
cool.
they can decide. Yeah, they have like a 50 words limits, but I'm really curious to see how they will go, because they can usually people can go nuts and give you some really interesting idea to work with. I can't wait to design them. Yeah, I did something similar for Unanimous Scam, where you could design a monster that will go into the book, and they got some really cool stuff to work with. So I'm really curious to that. It's also the fun of it, you know. Yeah, those are like the monsters that were designed by the supporters, and they get their names in the credit of the book. And there is also a fake ID generator that will contain their names into it. This one, I think, maybe we can show it. Yeah, they will go there too. They
I'm
get
gonna
some
have to
perks.
jump in at that level, so because then we can make up something fun.
Yeah, I will have to find a graphic for it, but it will be done. That's basically the last part I'm waiting to implement, except for the editing that Ian is working on.
Now, how did you meet him?
I mean, we have basically a Facebook creator group for Morkborg, and I asked, since my whole editor got overwhelmed with works, he can't stand behind me anymore. I asked for a new one, and he answered the question on the Facebook group, and I gave him to work on my next project, which was the last March, which is for a Forbidden Psalm game. Basically, it's a war game. It's not a tabletop RPG project. It was fine. Okay, we worked it. We clicked, and now I gave him this big project to work with. It's as simple as that.
Great guy. Oh,
yeah, it is. It is. He was a little busy, so he started working now. But he already gave me the first 100 paragraphs, first proofreaded versions of them, and so we're going really quickly through it.
That's awesome. We've got another. So the spam ads are not going to be placed narratively relevant pages, paragraphs, where their effects work kind of independently or of the main story path.
So and so, there are some places where the ads will aggressively come through the text. Basically, maybe you're reading a news article and there is an ads into it. Some may not even have any effects at all, other than being clues for where the story is going. So you might have to pay attention. They can get through the text. So as an example, there is this one where you are choosing your own morning routine. You want to brew yourself a cup of coffee, and you get the paragraph describing it. In the middle of the paragraph, there is a white paragraph where they say, "Oh, buy your coffee." And if you read it, you might have to test to prevent yourself from buying more, because the protagonist is also an impulse-based person. So if you read the paragraph with an ads, you will get this effect, and they might be intertwined with the text sometimes. Mostly not. Mostly is something you can choose to do. You can risk your life if you want to, but there are occasions when they are integrated into the text.
Very cool. All right. So let me see. What do you have planned? Like, I know you seem like the guy, a planner. So what's next after family business?
Okay, I actually have stuff planned for whole 2025. Things go nicely. I have many people did Morkborg acts, and I'm gonna do one by myself for basically a setting I wrote, which might be interesting. This will launch in May next year, and then I'm gonna do a standalone war game based on Forbidden Psalm, which is basically the war game version of Morkborg. Nice. And I always did third-party stuff, and this is maybe some sort of way for me to differentiate myself from it. I'm still doing stuff related to Morkborg, but it's as a standalone game. So I just start walking on my own legs.
Very cool. One other thing I wanted to ask you, it's funny because Ketty Faye said, risk your life reading spam.
Well, you mostly risk your wallets reading spam, but that can turn into risk your life later if you're not careful.
So how did you discover Morkborg?
Okay, this is really interesting. Someone passed me a pirated version of the Dark Fort PDF. Dark Fort basically was the prototype for Morkborg, which the game that later became is a little funny standalone dungeon crawling game that you can play on your own. And after reading that, oh, this is really cool. This is something that evolved into this thing called Morkborg. And I check it out online. I say, okay, this is really nice. Maybe, and it's a standalone book, so I don't have to, follow the game because they, writing 10,000 supplements a month, stuff like this. And I like this. I like that. And that was my mistake because now I bought it and I have my house basically filled to the brim with that because there is the third-party supplements. There are 10,000 of them a month, and I want them all. So
yeah.
So this is also a nice argument to say that piracy damaged people because they certainly damaged me. They gave me a pirated version of the game, and I bought I don't know many euros of it later.
Yeah, I have a whole shelf that's out of view over here.
Yeah,
that is full of everything Morkborg. And I got another question. Any
later I bought
third-party books?
And if I have to say the third-party books I like, I still have to read them because I have a huge backlog of it. There are two that you can actually go for it, and I always recommend them. The first one is called The Lonely Throne, which is made for a game jam on the Discord server, with the folklore game jam. It's basically on folk legend from your country, stuff like that. And The Lonely Throne is a standalone adventure set in Gravitas, which is really funny, really nice. You basically have your party following weeping statues pointing each other into the cemetery. It's a really neat and nice adventure, and it's free on Right to RPG. The other one adventure that I always recommend is the 500 Paces, which is in the Life and Death zine, which is also it has a really nice twist in the hand where you play it. I don't think it can be bought on its own, but it's a really nice adventure for Morkborg, and my player really enjoyed it. There are also other stuff that is good, like Christian H. Morkborg manuals are really nice, and I don't know. I can talk for hours about it if you want to, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I could talk for hours. Like, I'm a big fan of both Tommy's Sons an Hour and Haru Kickman. I think they both do a great job with everything that they've put out. Christian does a great job as well, and I've got so much stuff. I've from Orkborg to Goblins to Corpborg, and
Goblins was really Goblins. I really still have to check out Goblins because it was interesting for me. I like Goblins.
Yeah, I love Goblins. So when that one came out, that was like a day one backing for me. I saw that. And
a no-brainer. Let's get it.
Yep. I was just like, yeah. And then with everything that he put in there, like the cookies and all that to make them go, oh yeah. I won't spoil it for you, but you'll have to check it out.
Okay, you got me. You certainly got me curious. By the way, later I also bought the original Dark Fort that you guys sent me the pirated version of it. Just to be clear, I also got the original game with it. So,
oh boy,
it almost everything went by chance.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened with me. I walked into the game store and I just saw this yellow binding with this really weird writing on it, and I picked it up and I was like, "Ooh." I'm like, "This looks really interesting." I flipped it over and I was just like, "All right, this is going to be mine now."
Yeah, because that's the design choice behind it that North said in many interviews that, okay, we saw all the other books that you get in the game store and they all have a certain hue. Which is the color that is less used? Okay, let's go bright yellow. That's it. It really catches your eye. Even if you go browsing Right to RPG, you will see it.
Yep.
It wants your attention. You can't escape it. It wants you. It's here.
Yeah. It's just got that come to me type thing of like,
and it's a really fun one too.
It is. And I mean, it's so easy to play, and it's brutal, and yeah, I can't say enough good stuff about it. So
Yes. Also, there is lots of content. You can also pick it up for free. You don't have to spend thousands of euro on it. You can just get the bare-bone version. You can get the free stuff that you can get on itch.io, to RPG. There is lots of content for you if you just want to go and play it. It doesn't demand a huge monetary investment like other games do. That's also important. Everyone can play it. Everyone can play Mogwai. You can go to the bare-bone edition and just play it. Rockback Sludge is a really nice introductory adventure. It's really good, and that's it. You can just jump in.
Yep. And that is one of the beauties of it, is that you, like you just said, you can get it for free. And that's just enough to get you addicted so that you wind up buying the 8 million third-party pieces that are out there.
Yeah, I have so many of them right now in my house. It's not even funny anymore. They're just here, and I always try to play them all. They're not just standing there, because you can get some miscellaneous. Maybe you can just grab a class here, maybe have an item here, this idea that you can just do so many things. You can just, even if you don't like all the content you get in Red Zine, you just kind of hack it into pieces and just get the part you want and just put into the game. It's so easy to work with more part.
It is. And Ilias has another question here, for both of us, of how we feel about the RPG market getting saturated with Borg stuff. I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, saturated. It is saturated, but personally, I don't mind. I just run after that because I only mostly play Mark Borg, so more content for me is good. It's the good thing of having a free third-party license. You get all the people joining in, and you may get, the quality might vary, but giving everyone a chance to express themselves into this one for me is really important. So I'm positive. I think the positive really outweigh the negative of having so much content on it, because it's free. Everyone can do it. And yes, you may have the occasional people who will run with the money after doing a Kickstarter. You may have something, but that may not be on par with quality. But having everyone joining in, everyone contributing is good for me. I think it is good. I'm not against it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. The only negative that I see about it is the effect it has on my wallet.
Yes.
Because I have to buy, I am a completionist, but I completely agree with Rinaldo that it's so good for giving people that maybe have been scared to publish something or have always wanted to publish something, and it gives everybody, like Rinaldo said, that opportunity to put their work out there. And even if it's not the greatest thing, you can still feel the person's heart and soul went into their project, regardless of the quality of it. So I think it's great myself.
If I can expand a little bit on it, there is also a philosophy behind the game jam that are done in the Morkborg Discord server, where you can get basically everyone can contribute to a project, and at the end, the winner of the game jam is determined at random. So you're not discouraged by people who have maybe a huge production value or stuff like that, because everyone want everyone to contribute. I remember one for folklore. Basically, Nor, the original, one of the original holders of Morkborg, determined the winner by printing each IO page, bolting it to a shed, and throwing an axe to it.
That's very Morkborg.
Yeah.
That's
okay. The winner is boom. Okay, this one.
Yep. You win. That would be a fun one to record. Stand behind Nor when he's throwing the axe, and then walk up and be like, "This is our winner."
I think the video is still on the Discord server. If someone wants to check it out, it was really funny.
Oh, also, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah. Also, many people give around community copies of their works to let people play. I usually do it. Every 100 supporter, I get 10 copies that will go out 7 months after the Kickstarter end. It's really nice. So if someone wants a copy, you can just get a snappy later. If they don't have the money, you can just at least get the digital version, get the content you want. Everyone needs to play.
Yeah. The other thing I think is really great is how supportive the community is for everyone trying to produce something. Like, you never have anyone being like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't do that. You know, don't do it. Don't do it." It's always like, "Yeah, dude, make it. Let's go."
Yes,
Which
again,
I think is great.
That's the pro. That's the upside part of it. Everyone contributes. You get some nice stuff and some perspective that can come uniquely from that specific person that otherwise would not maybe participate.
Yep. All right. Well, before we do go, I want to give you a chance to tell everybody where else they can find you besides the Kickstarter. And Ilya said, and lots of us make free stuff too, which is great. And it's an awesome community and very helpful, which it very much so is. But if you could tell everyone where else they could find you besides the Kickstarter, which again is in the description, and I'll make sure anything that you mention, I get added to the description so everyone can find your work.
Okay, people can find my stuff in its digital form on Right2RPG under the Rhinoch name. There is a store there on itch.io, and if they want a physical book, you can find them on Lulu, basically, which is a print-on-demand website. So no tree gets destroyed without having a copy made of it and sold. So it's really nice. You can just go there, order your book, and they will deliver you. Sadly, not many people use Lulu, which may be a bummer, but all my books are there. And if you go on Lulu and you want a digital copy of the book, since it doesn't allow me to give you a PDF plus printed book combo, you can just hit me up and I'll give it you one for free, basically.
Very cool. Well, I will make sure I get the links to all of your stuff in there.
Okay.
And is there anything you feel like we didn't touch on that you would like to mention?
I think we touched everything, so I'm fine.
Cool. All right. Well, Rinaldo, thank you so much for joining me. And Ilyas and Eddie, thank you so much for being active in the chat. It was great having you ask questions and be active in there. And be sure to check out the Kickstarter and back it if you haven't already. There's 6 days left. And folks, have a great afternoon.
Goodbye.